All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. I can see your comments, so if you have any questions, feel free to share them throughout. But let's get going. So today, what I am bringing to you is from frustrated to fluent. This is a little bit about how you can grow your confident English, especially if you are a sustainability professional. And this is something where I will be sharing a few different stories of my clients and how they were able to speak more fluently using some of the ideas that I'll share with you today. I'm also going to be sharing with you an opportunity that I have coming up in December to really work on your fluency. I think this is something that you will actually be able to squeeze into your busy schedule, and I think you'll enjoy it. So let's hear a little bit about this. This event is for you if you are working in English or occasionally in English. And what I mean by that is you're using English at work. So this is usually with multinational companies where you have people from around the world. You might have different offices around the world, and people speak in English to communicate and collaborate with each other. If you don't get a chance to practice very much and you just have to get in there and speak English, that can be pretty difficult sometimes, can't it? So this will help you with that. It can help you if you know that you have good ideas, but when you try to explain them, your words don't come out. That is definitely something we can work with, because that is a question of fluency. Or if you feel like you're speaking English at work, but people are not really hearing you, they're not responding, they're not reacting, right? So any of those situations, if you find yourself in those, I think this will be a useful session for you. Especially if you, after you speak in English, you think, oh my gosh, that's not what I meant to say. Or, I don't sound as confident as I actually am. Or why can't I speak the way that I think? So for any of us who speak multiple languages, I think these are thoughts that we have experienced at some point. And today I'm going to be helping you out with how you get past that. All right. So whether you are working in renewable energy, ESG, environmental engineering, conservation, what have you, if you are struggling to speak in English, if you're holding back your ideas, or if you feel like you're missing opportunities, it doesn't have to be this way. So today, what we're going to be doing is this. I'm going to be sharing a few practical ways that you can speak more smoothly and more clearly. I'm going to be sharing ways that you can use your voice so that others stay engaged, so they listen to you, so they understand you. And I'm going to be sharing some strategies for building confidence in English, even if it isn't your first language. And of course, I'm definitely going to tell you about a Speaking Fluently Learning Lab that I'm going to be giving in December. I have put a lot of heart and a lot of research and a lot of, well, basically 20 years of experience into creating this short 4-day learning lab that packs in everything so that you can get fluent a lot faster. And I'll be telling you about that towards the end of this. All right, so if you can hear me, please leave a comment and let me know that this is actually working, because I don't know if the tech is working. Well, it seems to be working. We'll find out. Thank you again for your patience as I learn a new technological platform. All right, so one thing I would like to gift you at the end of this call is a free mini guide called 3 Daily Fluency Habits for Professionals. And this is kind of a summary on one page of the tips that I'm going to share with you, so that way you can just have it as a reminder. I hope you find it useful. All right. So for those of you who don't know me, I'll give you a little bit of my background first, and then after that, I'll get into those tips for you for speaking more fluently. So a little bit about me. I am a communication coach. I founded English for Sustainability back in 2020. And I help sustainability professionals from around the world to speak English effectively and confidently so that they can share their expertise and make a stronger impact on climate solutions. My background is in linguistics, and this is something that I continue to grow. I continue to read articles, to read research. I continue to attend conferences. So this has been going on for 20 years. So you can imagine I've accumulated a lot of information, but more just as important is I also give back in the field, and I present at conferences. I still present at conferences. I also occasionally publish as well. So I'm very active in this area of language, linguistics, speaking specifically, and pronunciation even more specifically. That's my area of expertise. A little bit more about me before I get to the tips. I've been teaching high-level English speakers for 20 years now. So when I say high-level English speakers, I mean specifically graduate students who come to the United States and they have a high level of English. They're taking the courses for their graduate degree, their master's, their PhD, in many different fields. And what I have been doing for 20 years is I've been working with those graduate students to help them take their English from good to excellent so that they can teach in the classroom. So when it comes to that, when you have somebody, and this might be you, if you've gone and you've studied, you've gotten your master's, you've gotten your PhD, especially in the United States, you know that a lot of your opportunities as a graduate student involve teaching and research. Well, when it comes to teaching, you need to be able to communicate effectively so that people understand complicated topics and so that they can follow what you're saying, right? So my job is to help people to do that as fast as possible. That's what I've been doing for 20 years, okay? More recently, 6 years, I've been spending on coaching sustainability professionals. So at the end of the day, I've helped hundreds of sustainability professionals and thousands of graduate students, and I can help you too. So enough about me, enough about my introduction. If you have any questions about it, feel free to share. Oh, thank you so much, person who has hieroglyphics as a name. I can't see names on StreamYard, but thank you for telling me you can hear me, and I'm so glad that you're excited for this session. All right, wonderful. Let's get to it. So, practical tips for speaking fluently. The first tip that I want to tell you, I want to share a little bit about one of the graduate students who I have been working with this semester. When she and I talked back in September, usually what I do when I meet for the first time with individual graduate students is I ask them, so tell me, how are you using English? What do you use it for? With whom are you speaking? How's that going for you? And what she told me is that she was really frustrated. Here's the thing, and if you've been following my posts on LinkedIn, you might have read her story already, but she's from Nigeria and she grew up speaking English. She's an English speaker. She has excellent vocabulary, excellent grammar. She's extremely smart, and people were not understanding her in the United States. So what I shared with her was the tip that I'm about to share with you. It sounds really simple. There's a lot more to it, but I will tell you that she started putting this into practice. And I spoke with her recently and asked her again, so how are things going for you now that you've had time to learn a little bit more about speaking English at a higher level, I guess, right? So more than just casual or answering questions as a student, but really speaking to help people understand. And she said, oh my God, I feel free. I feel so good because nobody has asked me to repeat myself. Okay, so here's what I told her because people kept saying to her, come again? Sorry, what was that? Could you repeat that? Or they would just ignore her. Okay, so what I told her was you need to slow down. So that's tip number one. When you want to speak more smoothly and more clearly, a lot of times you need to slow down your speaking rate. It's a little bit tricky if you're nervous, isn't it? So she did this. She practiced slowing down. And it's not that you want to speak slowly all the time. There is a time and a place to speak more quickly, and there's a time and a place to speak more slowly. But when you are meeting people who you haven't really spoken with very often, they need a little bit of an opportunity to get used to your accent because everybody has an accent. I have an accent. You have an accent. We all have accents. And we need to be able to acclimate to somebody's accent. How do you do that? You slow down and you pause between sentences. And this is one of the easiest things that you can do. Now, also to speak more smoothly and clearly, you need to take care of those words that you struggle to pronounce. Now, whenever we're learning other languages, this is true for me speaking in Spanish, French, Arabic, whatever. This is true for you speaking in English or any other language that you speak. There will be sounds in that language that you did not grow up learning. And so you might have to make a little bit extra of an effort. Or maybe there are sounds in your native language that are hard. For example, in English, there is a word that is really hard for a lot of people to say, and it is rural. I mean, it just, that one gets native speakers. There are a lot of words that native speakers struggle to pronounce, by the way. So anyway, if you know you're going to be speaking with a client about something, or you have to give a presentation, or you just know that in your line of work, there are some words that your mouth really struggles to articulate, those are words you're going to want to stop, write down, and figure out how to say. And once you do figure out how to say them, you need to use your muscles, right? You need to actually move your muscles and practice saying those words so that when you say them, they come out more easily. Those could be words that are difficult to pronounce. Those could be words that are hard to remember. Those could be names, right? We often mix up names and we might need to practice those. Okay, so the key to speaking more smoothly and more clearly is slow down and also take some time to practice those words that you might struggle with. And I've got a little bit of an aside here. So that first student that I told you about, she found that when she slowed down, not only was she able to help people understand what she said, but she could take the time that she wanted to pick out the words that she needed to organize her ideas in a way that would be easier for the person to understand. She also found that she was able to pay more attention to how they were reacting to how she was speaking, so that she could, if she needed to, she could rephrase something if they looked confused, or she could move on if they didn't. Okay, so that's part of something that helped her a lot. I have another person that I'm working with this semester who's a professional. He's doing research into photosynthesis. And this summer he gave a research presentation and it didn't go very well. And he struggled a lot. And so he and I talked and I asked him what he was struggling with. And it turns out some of the words that he needed to use in his research, I discovered that he was pronouncing in a way that would be very hard for somebody to understand. because he had a different rhythm and he was using different vowel sounds. So we did that. We pulled out those words that he needed to pronounce differently, and then he practiced them. And so flash forward a few weeks, he had been practicing. He knew he had another research presentation coming up. He gave the presentation and I asked him, hey, so how did it go? And he said, it went so well. I feel so much better. It was a relief that I could actually say what I needed to without stumbling over my words. I could see that people understood them. And also, he had talked to somebody who went to his previous research presentation, and she had stopped him and she said, hey, God, your presentation went so well. Did you practice a lot? And he said, I mean, I practiced some, but I practiced more conscientiously. I've been working with a coach who's been helping me with my delivery, and she was really impressed and he felt really good about himself. So I'm telling you, to speak more clearly and smoothly, the key here is to slow down and practice those words. Give your mouth the opportunity to say those difficult words. All right. Now, I'm going to be telling you more about the Speaking Fluently Learning Lab that I have coming up in December towards the end of this call. But I want to tell you, if you join the Speaking Fluently Learning Lab, then you're going to learn how to do this strategically, like how the people I told you about just now, how they were able to make those changes, because it's not just a simple, hey, slow down. There's more to it, right? There's a system to it. There's a logic to it. And I'll be sharing that with you so that you can speak more naturally when the time comes. All right. If you choose to take that Speaking Fluently Learning Lab with me, fantastic. If not, you can still work on this. Just work on finding your optimal speaking rate, right? What is a good rate for you to speak at? Something where you're not talking too quickly, because if you talk too quickly, then you could lose yourself, or they might lose what you're saying or miss what you're saying. And you don't want to talk too slowly either, because that could get really boring and it's hard for people to pay attention. All right. So you get to find your own optimal speaking speed. The other thing, again, just to remind you, pause between sentences. Take a breath. All right. So does anybody have any questions before we move to the next topic? I'm going to take a sip of tea. I'm looking at the comments to see if we have any questions. Again, there is a delay. So I will probably see your questions in a few minutes. I will get to them. So just ask me questions in the chat and I will get to them. All right. Are you ready for the second tip? The first one was speak smoothly and clearly by slowing down and pausing. This one is use your voice so that people stay engaged. What do I mean by stay engaged? I don't mean like engaged, no. So that people stay paying attention to you. So they want to listen. They're following you. Their mind is working. You say something and it makes them think about things, right? That's what we want when we want to engage people with our voices, and we want them to understand what we're saying, right? So the way you do that is you can't speak at the same speaking rate all the time. So I told you in the previous tip to slow down, right? Well, yeah, slow down, but don't speak at the same rhythm all the time, because it will get very boring. And I am putting myself to sleep by speaking at the same rate. Are you asleep yet? Right? So you want to vary your speaking rate. When you are feeling excited about something that you're talking about, when it's something really interesting, encouraging, you might speed up your speaking rate, talk a little bit faster. Or if you're talking about things that people already know, right? Like let's say you're in a meeting and you want to quickly review what you talked about last time, you might say that part really fast, right? So you might say something like, well, in our last meeting, we went over this and that and blah, 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 right? You say that part quickly because people already know it. And then when you slow down a little bit more, usually it's to explain something more complicated or more serious, right? So having that variety of fast and slow is going to help people to pay attention to what you're saying. Another way that you can use your voice to keep people listening is to emphasize the most important words. So listen to that again. Another way to keep people's attention is to emphasize the most important words. Okay, which word did I emphasize? Emphasize, right? So I said emphasize. What I did there was I said that word more slowly and higher in pitch. Oh, good. Thank you very much, Diego, for your comment. Yeah. So getting back to that, wanting to vary your speaking rate and don't emphasize every single word, because if you talk like this very carefully, eventually all of the words, oh my gosh, that's exhausting. It's exhausting to do. It's exhausting to hear, because what happens is we don't know what words are important if every word is emphasized. On the other hand, if you talk like this, how I'm going to demonstrate right now, and you don't really emphasize any words and everything is just kind of low key and it's all about the same pace, and it's kind of hard to pick out okay, are you confused yet? That is not a good way either. So what we want is that variety. We want to hear some words really emphasized, higher in pitch, slower, right? That's what helps to engage people. So yeah, as Diego said in the comment here, if I could speak at the same rate you are talking, that would be perfect. I understand everything. That's great, but that's my speaking rate. So we all have our own speaking rates, right? So for me, I'm going to speak at different rates depending on what I'm talking about and who I'm speaking with. So for you, you are also going to change your speaking rate. And that's going to be something for you to play around with and see how you can do that. And if you want to speak faster, what do you need to do? How do you speak faster? Practice, right? Practice. It's all about practice. Practice makes fluent. So if you're speaking and you feel like you're speaking too slowly, it just means you need to talk more. So you need to find those opportunities. And I have opportunities for speaking if you would like to take me up on them. So let me know. I can tell you about those. Anyway, so for you, what I'd like for you to think about right now is, when you are talking, do people pay attention to you? Are people really listening? Are they understanding? Are they engaging in back and forth with you? Right? Is it a conversation, or do you see them, doing this kind of a thing? Are they excuse me, you see my speaking rate got too fast and I couldn't say, or are they on their phone? Anyway, so that's the thing. Ask yourself, are people paying attention? If they don't pay attention when you speak, ask yourself, well, what can I do to help them pay attention? Do I need to slow down? Do I need to speed up? Do I need to pause? Do I need to emphasize key words? There are a lot of different things that you can do, but those are some really, really common ones that when people start to vary their speaking rate, when they start to emphasize keywords, they find that people pay attention to them more easily. And it's something you can learn systematically. In fact, in the Speaking Fluently Learning Lab this December, I'm going to show you how to do that. And you'll get, if you join the VIP, you'll get a workbook. And the workbook walks you through all kinds of exercises and practice opportunities that you can do on your own, whether you have people to practice with or not. During the lab, you will have people to practice with. But after the lab, if you want to keep practicing, because practice makes fluent, I'll you'll have all of these different strategies that you can use, and they're spelled out very clearly in the workbook. All right, so that's the second point, using your voice so that others stay engaged with you. We also talked about speaking more smoothly and clearly by slowing down. All right, I've got a third point to share with you, but I want to know, do you have any questions or any comments first? Please feel free, put them in the chat. I'd love to hear your questions, your comments, your experiences. And then I'll get to the third point while I take a sip of tea. Speaking of tea, do we have any other tea drinkers here? I also drink coffee, but this is oolong right now. I don't know, no, that's not oolong. This is actually a smoked black tea. I almost chose an oolong. All right, so let's get back to it. I don't see any questions coming in yet. Yes, there is a delay, but that's okay. I'll get to the questions in the comments when you put them in. All right, so let's look at the third point that I want to share with you today for speaking more fluently so that you can stop being frustrated and get more confident with your speaking. All right. And this is building confidence in English. I'm making this face because I could literally take you through a 3-month course and just get a tiny part of speaking, like helping you with your confidence. There's so many things involved with confidence in speaking. But I will tell you that one of the best ways to get confident with speaking is practice. Of course, I have a lot of different ways that I help people with building self-confidence using positive intelligence. But today I'm going to just focus on this simple fact that if you practice consistently, that experience is going to help you to build your confidence, because when you practice consistently by yourself, then you get to try, make mistakes, correct mistakes. When you practice consistently with somebody like me who gives you feedback, then that's great too, right? Because you get the experience, you get to see if what you said worked. If it did, fantastic. If it did not, how can you do it better? I can help you with that. I can give you feedback. And the other thing is when you start using these different techniques around other people, you start to get confidence in your speaking because you see that what you're doing is making a difference. Like with those 2 students I told you about, right? You see it's making a difference. Good. So I'm going to tell you about that in just a moment. I see a comment here, and this person says, how I can understand my audience's needs to be more engaged and paying attention to my words. Okay, so this person wants to know, thank you very much for your question, how you can understand what your audience needs to be more engaged and paying attention to your words. I feel like I need to open a can of worms here. There's a lot to this, but some of the factors that you'll find are, first of all, go back to the speaking situation and think, all right, what is the subject that I'm speaking about? What's the subject? Next, audience. Who's the audience? Right? Because we need to know who the audience is before we can anticipate their needs. So when we're thinking about who the audience is, we need to think about what might they know about the subject? What might they not know about the subject? What might their experience be with the subject? Because our job as speakers is to try to connect with the people we're listening to. Well, let me rephrase that. Our job is to try to connect with the people listening to us, and we need to pay attention to them as well, right? So what we do is we can try to find out a little bit about the people with whom we'll be speaking. And then from there, the third point, P, purpose. What's the purpose for you talking, right? If you can keep that purpose clearly in mind, for yourself while you're talking, and then also for the audience why they're listening, what's in it for the audience, then you will be able to be more engaging. You'll be able to capture their attention more when you can clearly communicate the reasons why they should listen and how it helps, and also recognizing what they might already know. So again, that's like a whole semester I can spend on how to help people, how to help your audience to pay more attention to your words, but that's a good start, I hope. Now, we want to use our voices in interesting ways as well. That is going to help people to pay attention. And the final thing, wow, there's so many things I want to share with you right now about this. I'm trying to distill it into the most important. I guess one other thing to think about is, depending on your speaking context, if you can have some sort of visual support, the quality of that visual support is also going to be important, right? So, for example, if you have images that you can share with people instead of lots of words, that's usually going to help people to be engaged as well. Because what you want your audience to do is to focus on what you are saying. You don't want them to have to split their attention between what you're telling them and what you're showing them, right? You want everything to be aligned and focused. And in that way, they'll be able to stay engaged a little bit better. So I hope I answered your question there in the comment. Please let me know. All right, so the third point I wanted to share with you was this idea of building confidence in English. And I want to tell you about one other client of mine. We started working together, I think, late this summer, maybe. And she's from Brazil, and she moved here to the United States. And it turns out she lives in my town, although we have online sessions because it works better for our schedules. Anyway, I've been coaching her weekly since this summer, and she is a professor at a university in Brazil, and she's here as a visiting professor doing her research in the United States. And what she was finding was she could understand everything she reads in English, right? No problem. She can understand. And when people speak, she can understand a lot of times what they're saying to her. Usually she gets, she has pretty good listening comprehension. But the reason why I sighed, that sound, the reason why I did that is because this is a very familiar feeling to me as well when I'm speaking in other languages. She found when she came here that she was having a very hard time expressing herself in the ways that that people could understand her. So what she decided to do was, she thought, I need to work with somebody who can help me specifically with my actual problems, because she didn't want to take a class with other people who have different needs. And, she really wanted to focus just on what she needed to improve so that she could speak confidently and fluently. And thankfully, she found a friend of mine who she and I used to work together. And my friend said, oh my gosh, you have to work with Laura. So she has. I've designed all these lessons for her. Bit by bit, we have gone through all of these confusing things between English and Portuguese, right? We've gone through certain grammatical constructions, right? So we're really refining her vocabulary. We're refining her grammar. And we're doing it in a way where she's speaking. Most of the entire coaching call every week we have is speaking. We are always talking. And so after a few months of this, she started feeling really good about herself, really confident. She went recently to a party, and there were a whole bunch of professors there. And of course, as we do, hey, what do you do? What do you study? Tell me about your research. And she came back from that party and she told me, I feel so good now because I finally can understand, and not only understand, people understand me. I explained my research for the first time confidently. Right? So this is what happens when you practice, when you figure out, okay, what do I need to work on? And then you work on it and you practice it. That is how you can really build your own confidence in English and become more fluent, right? It's not magic. You can't just say, or it's not like if any of you watched The Matrix. Do you remember The Matrix from what? I think the year 2000, where if they wanted to learn something, they would plug in and all of the information would be downloaded and then they could use it. No, it's not like that. You need to practice. You need to use your brain. You need to create neural pathways and habits and move your muscles. And that's how you get fluent. And that's how you build your confidence, right? So if you're looking for a chance to do that, the Speaking Fluently Learning Lab that's coming up, I'm going to help you start to assess what you need in regards to speaking more fluently. So this is something that you'll be able to assess for yourself, or if you take the VIP, I will be giving you an assessment. So I will be listening to how you speak, not just in a recording, but also throughout the learning lab. And in that way, you'll know exactly what you need to work on to speak more fluently and to build your confidence. All right, so those were the 3 tips I have for you. I want to tell you a little bit about the Learning Lab if you're interested. So tell me, first of all, do you have any questions at this point before I tell you about the Learning Lab? Again, there's a delay, so I will come back and I will answer them. But yeah, let's see. So the Speaking Fluently Learning Lab is coming up in December, and these learning labs that I offer are low-cost opportunities to empower sustainability professionals to get more confident in English, to be able to speak English more effectively as well. And the reason why I do that is because if we want to solve these monumental climate problems that we have, and all of the other problems that we have, let's be honest here, we need to communicate. We have to communicate clearly. So I've got for you, hopefully you can see it at the top of the screen. There is a registration link for the Learning Lab. I'm also going to put it here in the comments on LinkedIn. Register here. All right, here you go. So it's in the comments now. But basically, this is a 4-day learning lab, 5 if you attend the Q&A. So the first day, what you're going to learn is what is fluency. Because when you understand what fluency actually is, and it's going to help you to more easily learn ways that you can increase your fluency. Because I think people have kind of a nebulous idea of what fluency is, right? When it comes down to it, it's being able to speak easily, automatically, so that people understand you, right? The words just flow. But we'll find out exactly what it is and what you can do to increase your fluency so that you can speak more confidently and effectively. That's day 1. Day 2 is we're going to talk about, well, hey, we know what fluency is. Are you fluent? So that's when we're going to discover how to assess your fluency, how to figure out when you speak fluently, when you don't. If you're not speaking fluently, what does that sound like? And from there, we can figure out what to do about it. And that's day 3. Day 3 is how to practice effectively. So I'll be sharing techniques that will help you out to practice and build your fluency. Days 1 through 3, those are available to everybody because there are 2 versions of the Learning Lab. There's the general admission version where you can attend the first 3 live classes and you get all of that fabulous information, right? But then if you join the VIP version, the VIP is the version that gives you all of the perks. So the VIP version, you get to attend the 4th day. You have a Q&A, question answer. You have a workbook. You've got all kinds of other things. You have the assessment that I give you on your speaking and so on. So if you join the VIP, day 4, we are going to have a lot of practice opportunities. And yeah, it's basically practice makes fluent. So we'll be practicing. I'll give you feedback. And what I'm sharing in this Fluency Learning Lab is basically 20 years worth of teaching experience, research experience, all kinds of knowledge and practice put together to give you the fastest way to improve. And these are the kinds of things that I've used with people before that have made a huge difference. For example, I had a graduate student from Iran one time, super smart. She had excellent grammar, excellent vocabulary, excuse me. But when she spoke, she could not say a single phrase without a filler. So let me tell you what that would sound like. If I had to demonstrate, it would talk. It was like this. You probably know somebody who does that when they speak. Yeah. So the those sounds, we can say them sometimes. That's fine, right? You don't need to eliminate them from your speech. It's just we don't want to say them so much that they distract the people who are listening, right? It can be really hard to understand. So I taught her the same thing that I'm going to be sharing with you in the Learning Lab. And guess what? When I spoke with her 2 weeks later, she had all but eliminated the fillers from her speech. All it took were 2 weeks of practice for her. And then she could speak without And as a result, not only did she sound more confident, but she felt more confident as well in her role. So that's what I want for you. Does that sound good? All right. So I have a little bit of basic information for you to consider. And again, whatever questions you have, please put them in the chat. I will be here until the hour. I'm happy to answer your questions. If your questions come in afterwards, I can send you a DM with the responses. But let me give you some more basic information here. First of all, I imagine it's the end of the year. You're probably busy, right? Yeah, so am I. So if you have a busy schedule, think about whether you can do this, right? It's at minimum, it's a 3-day course and you show up live. At maximum, it's a 4-day course with a Q&A call. If you do the VIP version, you get the recordings, which means you can miss one of the sessions, 2 of the sessions, and just watch it later. All right. So if you have a busy schedule, but you can fit in 60 to 90 minutes, like that's easy. Okay. You can do it. You can do it if speaking fluently is important for you. All right. Let's see here. So next one. Oh, our lovely economies. I know that things are not wonderful worldwide. So if you are struggling to find money for improving your English, I've created this as a very low cost opportunity. So if you want to attend the 3 days live with me, I'm putting it on sale for 50% off. So it's only $10. That's it for 3 days of expert information. All right, $10, 3 days of live classes. All right, so there's that. If $10 is impossible for you, apply for a scholarship because I do have scholarships available. Okay. I also know that there are some countries that do not, like the United States can't do business with some countries. So if that's also you, let me know, apply for a scholarship and we'll see what we can do. Okay. Now, as far as the VIP version, I'm also putting that on sale for 50% off. So that is going to be only $99, and you get all kinds of stuff with that. The recordings, the 4 classes, the Q&A, the workbook, the assessment of your English, and I'm probably forgetting about some other perk and bonus that I came up with for you. Anyway, it's a lot of really good stuff, but all very digestible, very easy to do in those 4 days. Okay, so if you are thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, I really hate being in groups of people. I don't want to speak in front of groups of people. Guess what? This is a safe place to practice. So if you join the VIP and you want to practice on the call, you can. If you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to. You can practice on your own. Oh, that's the other thing. That's the thing I forgot. We are going to have a private group where you can practice between the calls and get my feedback. And that's something that even people who feel very shy about their voices, a lot of times they feel comfortable with practicing in that environment, right? Because it's nearly anonymous. You can even change your name. All right, so feel free. You get to practice in a safe space. Only the people who register for the Learning Lab are going to have access to the calls. So anyway, there's that. And also the people who tend to come to my events are usually pretty kind, conscientious, and encouraging of each other. So if that's you, please join us. All right, if you want something different to look forward to, I really hope that you join us, because these are really laid back but fun educational events, and I think you'll get a lot out of it. So if you are in the mood to develop your fluency skills in a short workshop, please come join me. All right, register. I've got the link at the top of the screen here. You also have the link in the comments on LinkedIn, because you can speak more fluently. There are things that you can do right now to speak more fluently. Fast. It's pretty interesting. So register for this opportunity. The classes start December 2nd, right? The 2nd of December. I have this on sale now for 50% off. So normally it's $20 for general admission and $199 for VIP. I'm cutting that in half for you starting today. So it's just $10 or $99. All right. So I hope to see you there. Sign up, send me an email or send me a DM, and I'll be happy to share the link with you. Let me share that link with you now. Also, as a thank you for attending, I have 3 things for you. I'm going to be sharing the recording. Let's see, I think this is, I was going to just share the link to the landing page with you, and I realized that's a different address, so I'll have to find it for you, type it out. Anyway, I'll be sharing with you as a thank you the link to the landing page, the recording, but also that free mini guide, the 3 daily fluency habits for professionals. And yeah, so you'll be getting those in your DMs or in your email if you'd like it. So, all right, I have a couple more minutes. If you have any questions, I'm here for you. So let me know what questions you have. And if you don't have any questions, I'd love to hear what you think of this session. What did you learn out of it? What's one thing that you're going to take away and use? So I will wait for your questions and comments while I get the website. Here it is. Okay. There are always so many things to do. All right. So here's the link to sign up. Let's see if it lets me put it in. Here's the link to sign up for the Speaking Fluently Learning Lab in December. Gosh, can you imagine that? You will be speaking more fluently by 2026. You will be speaking more fluently before all of your holiday parties. How does that sound? I think that sounds pretty great. I would love that. If I had an opportunity to take, for example, a Portuguese class, that would be awesome. Anyway, but it depends on you. What for you would be important to you? What do you need? Is this something that's important to you? If so, please sign up, join me. We'll have a lot of fun and you'll build your fluency. All right. So that is pretty much all of the information that I have for you today. I look forward to continuing this conversation in the DMs. I hope to see some of you in the Speaking Fluently Learning Lab. Until then, have a lovely time. I'm just looking to see if we have any new comments. It does not look like we have new comments. But I do have to say thank you to those of you who did comment. I'm so glad this worked this time. On Friday, I tried to do this and failed. I did not figure it out. So it looks like it worked today. Here we go. Somebody asked, is this course only for sustainability professionals? No, it's open to anybody who needs it. My personal mission is to help sustainability professionals because I feel like we're at a critical point, but what I'm going to be teaching will help anybody regardless of their background, regardless of what you work in. So you are welcome to join if sustainability is not your field. If you just want to build your fluency, I want you to be in the Speaking Fluently Learning Lab. Okay, thank you for asking that. That's a really good question. And I should have included that in my plan here. Thank you. All right, what other questions do we have? And sorry, I can't see your name. It just says LinkedIn user. Thank you. You have a good day too, Diego. Have fun. Sounds good. I'll look for it. Okay. All right, everybody. So that's about all the time we have for today. Feel free to send me a DM and I will be happy to answer any of your questions there. It's been really nice talking with you, even if I can't see your faces. So join me in the Speaking Fluently Learning Lab so we can actually have a back and forth. All right, take care. Bye-bye.